You were never taught to feel. You were taught to detect danger. Watch until the end to understand why your silence is your sanity.
You call it kindness. It isn't. It's fear wearing a better outfit. Every time you said yes when your whole body screamed no, you weren't being generous. You were paying a toll to stay safe. And the version of you built to keep paying that toll is about to die. Not you, just the performance. There's something locked in a room inside you right now. It's been in there since you were young enough to learn that being needed was safer than being loved. You've spent your whole life guarding that door, terrified of what happens if it opens. You check on the lock the way you check on everything else that scares you, sideways, quickly, never head on. A thought crosses your mind at a strange hour, something sharper and more honest than you usually let yourself think, and you shut it down before it finishes forming. That reflex has a name too. You'll get to it. The truth is simpler and stranger than you think. The thing behind that door was never going to hurt you. It was the only part of you strong enough to say no, and you locked it up the day you decided being liked mattered more than being real. It has an older name than the one you gave it. We'll get to that. This is what happens when an empath goes completely silent. Not sad, not broken, silent. Picture the friend who remembers everyone's birthday and drives across town at midnight because someone needed to talk. Picture the coworker who takes the blame in every meeting just to keep the peace. The one who apologizes for things that were never theirs to apologize for. That person is running on a system that was never built to run forever. And one day the system stops. They stop answering the group chat inside the hour. They stop absorbing the crisis, stop managing the mood in the room. Everyone around them panics. They call it a phase. They call it depression. Nobody calls it what it actually is. A funeral for the identity that kept everyone else comfortable at its own expense. You know this person. You might be this person. The one who shows up to every hospital waiting room, even when it's not their family. The one who reads the room before they've even taken their coat off. Who can tell within 30 seconds of walking into a party whether two people in the corner just had a fight. That radar didn't come from nowhere. It was built, piece by piece, out of necessity. And necessity doesn't care whether it's sustainable. It only cares whether it keeps you alive today. So when that radar finally goes dark, when the texts stop coming back within the hour, and the birthday spreadsheet stops getting updated, and the mediator stops showing up to referee a fight that was never theirs to referee, nobody thinks to ask what it costs to keep it running this long. They just notice it's gone, and they panic, because the room feels different without someone quietly managing the temperature of it. Stay with this, because by the end you'll understand why the quietest person in your life might be the only sane one left in it. Here is the pain nobody names correctly. You were never taught to feel. You were taught to detect. To walk into a room and immediately locate the tension, the sadness, the anger nobody admitted to, and fix it before anyone said a word. That isn't empathy. That's a survival skill built in a house where someone's mood decided whether you were safe that night. Maybe it was a parent whose anger arrived without warning. Maybe love in your house was conditional on your usefulness, and being difficult meant being dangerous to keep around. Either way, you learn the lesson early. Safety is a performance, and performances need an audience to manage. You got good at it, too good. You became the friend who always answers, the partner who forgives first, the one who takes the extra shift and the extra blame and the extra weight nobody else wanted to carry. Somewhere in that pattern, you stop noticing the cost. Think about the last time someone unloaded their entire day on you the second you picked up the phone. You didn't ask why your chest tightened. You just adjusted your voice to match their need and kept the conversation moving until they felt better. You did that without thinking, because thinking was never part of the training. Reacting was. I did this for years before I noticed I was doing it, before the tightness in my chest even had a name. Somewhere along the way, you mistook hypervigilance for a personality trait. You called it being sensitive. It was actually a nervous system permanently scanning for danger, dressed up in a gentler word. Every time you absorbed someone's chaos, you told your own nervous system it mattered less than theirs. And that sentence doesn't stay quiet forever. It becomes the room you live in. You start waking up tired in a way sleep doesn't touch. You start resenting people you love and hating yourself for the resentment. You start performing okay so well that even you forget you're performing. People reward it. They call you easy to be around, the strong one, the one who always has it together. And every compliment is a small nail in the same coffin. It thanks the mask for doing its job and never once asks what's underneath it. Carl Jung had a name for that mask. He called it the persona, assembled so early and worn so long that most people mistake it for their actual face. Your persona was never a lie. It was a strategy. Be useful and you'll be kept. Be agreeable and you'll be safe. Absorb the storm and nobody will ever storm at you. It worked. That's the disturbing part. It worked so well you built an entire identity out of it. But a strategy built on fear has an expiration date. And when it expires, it doesn't leave quietly. It leaves as silence. The body keeps score long before the mind admits anything is wrong. Fatigue, no amount of rest fixes. A short fuse around people you used to tolerate easily. A creeping numbness where compassion used to live. And that numbness isn't coldness. It's your nervous system finally refusing to keep subsidizing everyone else's comfort with your own exhaustion. Picture standing in the kitchen at 11 at night, phone buzzing with someone else's meltdown, and for the first time in years, nothing in you reaches for it. No guilt spike, no reflex to fix, just a strange, unfamiliar stillness, like a muscle finally allowed to stop clenching after holding a position for a decade. Ask anyone who broke under this weight what the breaking point felt like, and they'll describe the same thing. Not a dramatic collapse, a quiet, bone-deep indifference that arrived almost overnight. One day the caring simply didn't come. Not because it died, because it ran out of runway. And here's the part that stings. The people who benefited from your persona the longest will fight hardest to keep it alive, because your silence cost them something they never had to pay before: managing their own emotions. They will call your withdrawal selfish. They will call it cold. What they won't say is the truth, that you finally stopped performing for an audience that never once asked if you were tired. This is where most people misread the empath completely. They assume silence means collapse. It's the opposite. Collapse is loud. Collapse begs to be noticed, still hoping someone will fix it for you the way you fixed it for everyone else. Silence doesn't beg. Silence has already stopped hoping. And a person who has stopped hoping for rescue isn't falling apart. For the first time, they're standing on solid ground. Think about the specific shape of a single phone call. Someone calls you crying about a fight they started. You listen for 40 minutes. You validate, you soothe, you offer 3 ways to fix it, and somewhere around minute 30, you realize you haven't said a true sentence about yourself the entire call. Not one. That's not a coincidence, and it isn't generosity either. It's a trained reflex firing exactly the way it was built to fire. The same reflex that once scanned a dinner table for the first sign that someone's mood was about to turn. The call ends, they feel better, and you feel strangely emptied out. And you call that being a good friend because nobody ever taught you another word for it. Jung spent his career studying exactly this moment. He called the process individuation, not self-improvement, not healing, but a confrontation. It means separating who you actually are from who you were trained to perform. And that separation always starts the same way. The mask cracks, and the person underneath goes quiet because they no longer know which voice is theirs. The persona was never the enemy. It was a costume built for survival. But you cannot become whole while permanently dressed as someone easier to love. Jung believed a person cannot reach wholeness without meeting their shadow first. Everything the persona had to bury to stay likable. Anger, appetite, selfishness, the capacity to walk away without asking permission. Most people spend their lives at war with their shadow, mistaking it for a flaw to manage instead of a half of themselves waiting to be reclaimed. The empath's shadow is louder than most because the persona was louder than most. The more you performed warmth on command, the more your capacity for coldness got buried alive. That's not a character defect. That's arithmetic. Whatever you suppress doesn't disappear. It compounds in the dark until it's strong enough to surface on its own terms. Jung called the end point of this the self, not the mask, not the buried anger, but the whole self standing in one place for the first time. You don't get there by choosing one half over the other. You get there by admitting both halves were always yours. This is the part people get wrong when they hear the word shadow and picture something monstrous. The shadow isn't the part of you that wants to hurt people. It's the part of you that was never allowed to want anything at all. Not out loud, not first, not before checking whether it was safe to want it. Meeting it doesn't turn you cruel. It turns you specific. You start knowing what you actually think before you know what everyone else needs you to think. He also warned about something specific to your position: projection. People don't just lean on an empath for comfort. They unconsciously hand that empath everything they can't hold themselves. Their unprocessed grief, their guilt, their fear of their own darkness. You didn't imagine the weight. You were carrying material that was never yours, handed to you by people who never asked if you had room. Marcus Aurelius kept a private notebook for exactly this. Reminders to himself, written at night, that other people's opinions weren't his to manage. He ran an empire and still had to relearn that lesson daily. You are not failing a test he passed easily. You're doing the same work at 3 a.m. with far less power and far more guilt. Now here's where the world reacts badly. People don't panic when an empath suffers loudly. They panic when an empath stops absorbing. For years, you were the room's shock absorber. Every unspoken tension ran through you first and got quietly handled so nobody else had to feel it. Take that away and the tension has nowhere left to go. It sits in the same room it was always in, except now everyone has to feel it directly, with no translator. That was never actually your job. It just felt like one. There's another reason the silence unsettles people: control. A person who reacts predictably can be pushed. Push the button, get the expected response. Manipulators are fluent in that exchange. It's their entire operating system. A person who stops reacting breaks it completely. No guilt trip lands. No urgency creates panic. No performance earns applause because the audience walked off the stage. Watch what happens the first time you don't flinch at a tone that used to move you instantly. There's a pause on the other end, a recalibration. Sometimes even a slightly different approach tried a second later, like someone checking whether the old password still works. It doesn't. That's not you being difficult. That's the first time in years the exchange has been renegotiated on your terms instead of theirs. And the reason people admit to least of all, for as long as you absorbed everyone's mess, they never had to look at their own. You were the mirror that reflected them in flattering light, patient, understanding, endlessly available. Take that mirror away, and they're left facing their own unresolved chaos, with nothing standing between them and it. A parent who leaned on you to manage their anxiety since you were 12 suddenly has to sit with their own anxiety for the first time in decades. A partner who routed every hard conversation through your calm has to find their own calm, or discover they never had any. That confrontation was never your responsibility, but it will feel, to them, like cruelty. It isn't. It's the first honest thing that's happened between you in years. Some of the people who show up worried the week you go quiet are showing up because they love you and finally have room to notice you. Some are showing up because the silence stopped working for them. You'll know the difference by what happens next, not by the timing of the concern, but by whether they can sit with your no, or whether they only came to argue you out of it. That's the only test worth running. This shift only ever looks sudden from the outside. From the inside, it was years in the making, paid for one small self-betrayal at a time, until the account closed itself without asking permission. Now the part that matters, how you do this on purpose, instead of waiting for burnout to force it. First, put a delay between the ask and your answer. Not forever, just long enough to break the reflex. When someone brings you their crisis, their demand, their emotional weather, don't answer in the moment, say you'll respond later, and mean it. That delay isn't rudeness, it's the whole trick. Most of your automatic yes responses happen in under 3 seconds, before your own judgment even gets a vote. A few hours of delay puts your judgment back in the room. Try it this week. The next time a group chat lights up over something that isn't an emergency, don't touch your phone for 1 full hour. Watch what happens. Someone else will answer. The world doesn't stop because you didn't handle it in real time. The first few times, this will feel unbearable. Your nervous system will insist someone is disappointed in you. Let it insist. Other adults can survive being disappointed. That's not an emergency, no matter how loud it gets. This works because urgency is almost always manufactured, not real. Genuine emergencies are rare and obvious. Everything else is a preference dressed up as a crisis to guarantee a faster response from you. If you need a script for the delay, keep it boring on purpose. Something like, "I saw this, I'll get back to you tonight." No explanation of why you're delayed. No apology tucked into the middle of it. Boring is the point. Boring doesn't invite negotiation the way an anxious, over-explained response does. The people who only wanted a fast reaction out of you will find the boring version unsatisfying, and that dissatisfaction is information, not a problem you need to solve. Second, retire the justification. Stop explaining your boundaries like they're on trial. "I can't make it" is a complete sentence. It doesn't need a reason, an apology, or 3 backup dates offered out of guilt. Every explanation you give is an invitation for someone to argue with your reasoning instead of respecting your decision. Remove the reasoning, and there's nothing left to argue with. Notice the version of this you're already fluent in when it costs you nothing. You don't send your boss a 3-paragraph explanation for why you're taking a sick day. You say you're out, and that's the end of it. The skill already exists in you. You've just only ever deployed it where it was safe to. Practice on something small first. Decline an invitation with one sentence and nothing else. No emoji softening the blow, no extended apology, just the sentence. The silence after it will feel like it's begging to be filled. Let it sit there. That urge to fill silence with justification is the exact reflex you're retraining. This one change sorts your relationships fast. Some people will get louder for a while before they leave, and some of them loved you, not just your usefulness. Losing you still costs them something real, and that's allowed to be true at the same time as everything else. The ones who stay without needing an explanation are the ones worth keeping the door open for. Third, and this one you don't get an explanation for either, every time you catch yourself about to fix a problem that isn't yours, stop. Physically stop. Then ask yourself one question and don't answer it out loud. What would you do with the hour you just got back? Don't turn that answer into a plan tonight. Just let the question sit where the old reflex used to be. Do this consistently and something specific happens. The shadow stops feeling like a threat and starts feeling like fuel. The selfishness you were taught to fear turns out to be nothing more than the will to exist on your own terms. The anger you buried turns out to be exactly the energy it takes to finally say no and mean it. None of this requires cruelty. It requires precision. You aren't trying to hurt the people who drained you. You're simply no longer available to be drained. This isn't a call to disappear on everyone who's ever needed you. It's a call to stop being unconditionally available to everyone who's ever wanted something from you. Those aren't the same list. The people who actually love you won't need a mask to stay close to you. Only the ones who love the mask will notice the difference. Something happens on the other side of this, and almost nobody warns you about it. You stop being liked by everyone, and you stop caring that you do. The people who only valued your usefulness disappear from your life with surprising speed, and you realize how much of your former closeness was actually just convenience with a friendlier name. What replaces it is smaller, quieter, and unmistakably yours. You say no without a paragraph of context attached. You close a door and don't stand outside it explaining yourself through the gap. You let people be disappointed in you and discover with something like relief that you survive it every time. People will tell you that you changed. They're right. You did. What they won't say out loud is that the version of you they preferred was the one costing you the most. This is what Jung meant when he said the most terrifying thing a person can do is accept themselves completely. Not the polished self, not the useful self, all of it, including the parts built to protect you that other people never approved of. The empath who goes silent isn't disappearing. They're arriving somewhere nobody handed them a script for. They don't seek revenge on the people who use them. Revenge still needs an audience, and they no longer perform for one. They just stop opening doors that never should have stayed open, and they don't look back to check if anyone noticed. 6 months in, you'll notice something small and strange. A message comes in, something that used to send your whole afternoon sideways, and you'll feel your shoulders stay exactly where they are. Not numb, just unclenched. You'll read it, decide if it's actually yours to carry, and put the phone down either way. That's the whole transformation, distilled into one unremarkable moment nobody else will ever see. Not a dramatic reinvention, just a nervous system that finally believes it's allowed to rest. A year from now, you won't recognize how much smaller your world had to become before it finally felt like yours. That isn't a loss. Rooms get quieter right before they get honest. This isn't the end of your capacity to care. It's the end of caring on demand, for free, for people who never once checked what it cost you. You just stop giving your life away to people who never asked the price. If you're in that silence right now, this is the only permission you actually needed. Stay quiet. Stay unavailable to what drains you. Let the people who only loved your usefulness mistake your peace for punishment. It was never about them. It's the first thing you've built in years that belongs entirely to you. Nobody is coming to give you permission for the rest of it. Nobody ever was. That was always going to be a door you open yourself. Quietly. No audience.
You didn't become cold. You just stopped giving your life away for free. Subscribe and leave a comment if you are in this silence right now.